add two quick approvals for.
Good evening. It is Thursday, July 7th, and the regular session of the Georgetown School Committee meeting is called to order. The first item on our agenda is to approve the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes from the regular session of 6/23/11, the acceptance of one warrant, 0V12, and two thank you letters from Baker Adams and our honorary diploma. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion? Oh, any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We do not have a student rep. We won't have one until school begins in the fall. Audiences, is anyone here from the public that wishes to discuss an item on our agenda? Anyone that wishes to make any general public comments? Okay. Okay, next up is the superintendent's report. The first one being the appointment of the business manager.
Yes, come on up.
Come on up.
All right, so I'm just gotta find my information here. So,
You can actually,
Mark,
if you
right
sit
here, right there
they
would
can-
be
Yeah,
perfect,
that way
and
the
the camera can pick you
camera
up.
guys know where to find you.
okay, well, thank you, Mark. Everyone, this is Mark Graziano. And he is our recommendation for the Director of Finance and Operations position for the district. In your packet, I put in a position description for the Director of Finance and Operations, just for in case you wonder what he has to do with his time. And Mark's resume, which speaks to his experience. He is a licensed business manager in Massachusetts. That was important to us, just because there's a lot of tasks that must be done in the business office by someone who has that credential. Julia, as we know, is wonderful at doing, any and all functions in that office, but things like the end of the year report, she's not approved to do that, even though there's no doubt that she could put it together and it would be no issue whatsoever. So you can see his experience. Mark in Methuen was a business office manager, and that was very interesting to Tricia, I think, because at that point, he's been engaged in actually doing payroll. So if something happened to Tricia, she was relieved to think that someone could step in and actually do the payroll in her absence. We have a small business office, as you know, and everybody's not always cross-trained. So it is very, very important that we're excited about Mark's experience in being able to not only understand the big picture around what has to happen in the business office, but actually understands the tasks down to the actual day-to-day work. So he had a business officer, manager position, and then he moved into business manager in Boxborough, and most recently has been at the Pike School, doing, based on the conversations that we've had, based on very similar size, scope of work, very similar work responsibilities in terms of really having his hands not only in just doing the finance part of the work, but also working with food service and maintenance and
Building projects.
we've had very similar. So he was in our mind a perfect match. Also included in your contract, because the business administrator is a joint appointment between us. And so it is important that this be one of the positions that the school committee agrees with and is willing to appoint and signs off on that. So the contract in here is the draft contract that Mark and I talked about, that he had a chance to review. I did speak to Ann about some of the terms as the chair, and it just requires the full agreement on the part of the entire board. So Mark is here. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have any questions or you want to ask him, he's all yours.
Just a question for the public that's watching at home. The way that the business office works now, we need to have a certified business manager
That's right.
or one that is eligible for certification.
Yes. Well, some districts, and what they do is they won't necessarily have a certified business manager. They'll have like an assistant to the superintendent for business, but they have to then hire some people to do, like an outside consultant or something to be able to do the work that is required.
The specific.
But if you have a business manager, if you have a business manager, you are required to have a certified
Right.
candidate.
So I just wanted everyone to understand that the certification shouldn't be taken lightly or
Oh,
deemed
no.
something that is optional and, we could search for something else. It is important, and if we don't have, like, as Carol pointed out, if we don't have that certification in-house to file certain reports and work on certain projects, we would need to hire an outside consultant.
That's right.
To do that work.
We received about, I don't know, Laura, about 30 applications. And you would be surprised how many people were not certified, that maybe we're currently working in industry, with strong financial backgrounds, but nothing in the area of school business or business managers that are certified in Maine or New Hampshire, and the process still requires them to be certified in Massachusetts. It's not as easily reciprocal as it used to be. You do have to still pass the test and go through a number of things. So we were very fortunate that Mark is certified, has that credential, and that's nothing. One of the things we talked about, especially with discussions about the building project, is that, what is that, MCPPO? Yeah, I never get all the initials in there, but that's something that Mark is interested and willing to do, and it's something that we would ask him to do.
So when you were working with the project, was it at the Pike School?
Correct.
You didn't need to have that because it's a independent
Because
school.
it's an independent private school.
So you
it
didn't need
wasn't
to have the
required.
MCPPO. Okay,
Right.
that's fine. That's exactly what I thought. I just have a couple
Go
questions.
ahead, I
if
think
you guys
Mark would be
don't mind.
happy to answer. He came all this way, he doesn't want to sit here.
The one that just is intriguing to me is what made you switch from the banking side of things to the government side of things?
Oh, it was pretty simple. I
Okay.
was in the banking field for about 2 years and had the opportunity to work close to home, but also work at a school. And then part of going, I think it was more towards the nonprofit side of things. And when you're working, 16, 17 hours a day and, it's putting money into somebody else's pocket, I thought, if I'm going to work 16, 17 hours a day, do it for the betterment of the community I live in or for the children. So that was the main reason I jumped
Okay.
into the schools in general.
Right. Okay. And then obviously going from a public school system to an independent school is a change.
Yes.
And the funding's different, the
Un-
expectations are different,
And the
and
challenge
the
is
environment is different.
Yeah, and the
right.
environment's very different. The cultures are very different. I think the challenges that a public school faces on a yearly, if not daily basis are so different than that of an independent school. I think an independent school, it's a lot of fundraising, but the money tends to be there more often than not. The challenge at a public school is really trying to find that funding, and if not, trying to figure where you can tighten up that budget. And that's really one of the main reasons I'm jumping back into the public school field.
Good, because we're really good at freezing budgets.
Well, we're really good at redirecting resources.
And redirecting.
Doing a lot with what we have, right?
And Carol touched on this briefly as well. We have a small business office with Trish and Julie, and there's no question in my mind that they can do just about anything in that office, and they do it on a regular basis. The thing that I like about it is that everyone can do that, and I just want to make sure that you're willing to, get your hands dirty. And when Trish isn't there, if there's payroll that needs to get done, or if Julie's not there, and if someone's looking for something that, that we maintain that ability to keep
Yeah.
the
When I
department
was
running.
When I was in Methuen, we had an office staff of about 8 people, cross-trained on every desk, learned how to do every function from, AP to payroll to general ledger processing to working on the grants. When I got to Boxborough, it was pretty much just a staff of me. So I had to do it all, soup to nuts, in charge of maintenance and food services. At Pike School, I have a staff of 2 people in the business office. So it's very similar, very similar duties
Similar
for the
size
2
budget.
staff. Similar size budget, yeah.
Right, okay. And then I guess the final question is, when you were at Boxborough and Methuen, I don't know how they're set up as far as their reporting goes, but did you have to work with the accounting manager or the finance manager within the town? And
Within the both towns,
Okay.
more in Boxborough than in Methuen, working with the town accountant, the town manager, working with the town's finance committee to set the budget, come up with the budget,
Okay.
and then take that to school committee, present it to school committee
Now,
on
were
a
you
monthly
the same,
basis.
financial platform, or did you Were you integrated? We're not.
We,
We have the same system, but we don't talk to each other.
we were not integrated in either
Okay.
place. So it was a lot of creating spreadsheets to make sure that what we had for our account numbers meshed with the account numbers on the
Okay.
town side in both Methuen and Boxborough.
All right. Those are my big questions. You guys have any further?
I just had a couple. First, to the board, to you, is tonight a night expecting vote to approve?
That's what we like.
That's the expectation.
Okay. And to you, Ann, you've had a chance to go through all this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've spoken to Carol,
Okay.
and yeah.
Okay, the reason I'm asking that is because for myself and picking up the package on Tuesday, I haven't put the time into this that I would like to with other commitments. So as it's a very important appointment, that's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, I've been through it and spoke to Carol and had some pointed questions that she was able to get answers for.
Okay. Mark, just a couple of things. Curious, not in any order of importance, why Colorado?
Oh, it was simple. My wife and her entire family are CSU grads. It was a great opportunity to do a distance learning MBA through CSU, be the 7th person in my wife's family to graduate from university. I looked and with my time constraints, I couldn't be in a classroom on a daily basis, so CSU really offered me the opportunity to watch the classes the next day, interact with the professor and other distance students and on-campus students, and take a few classes actually out there on campus during the summer. It's a lot of family out in Loveland, Colorado, which is about 20 minutes from Fort Collins, so
It's a beautiful
it's a great opportunity.
state out there. Are you familiar with any of the history of the town, Georgetown?
I'm not.
Familiar with past budgets at all?
I did do some research on the prior budgets and comparing where the foundation budget was compared to the operating budget, what's been happening to some of the Chapter 70. There was just a recent override, I believe it was 1.2 million.
Yeah.
So keeping up with that, there were some facilities issues I saw during the winter. There was a roof collapse. So really trying to do some research on a lot of what's been happening.
How far away is Methuen for a commute?
3 towns
It's pretty close.
west,
right?
east. It's
I was
about
gonna
20.
say, I
it's
drive
about 20
through it to go
minutes.
to Drake
Yeah.
it twice
It's
a
like
week.
going
It's
to the
not
loop.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the
it
loop.
is.
That's
It's
how
the
I
loop
think
mall.
of. That's all I know about Methuen is the loop.
That was it for me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's really aware of how much time this position takes. And everyone I spoke to about him said that that's not a problem, that, he will do what it takes to get the work done, no matter how often, he has to be doing things in the district. And he mentioned that his wife, he just had twins, by the way.
Congratulations.
Within
Thank
a
you.
year ago. That his wife understands the constraints of the work and is prepared, and they're even talking maybe moving closer, but, that's for the future, right? So one step at a time.
I have 11-and-a-half-year-old twins. You will survive.
We hope, yeah. It's glad to hear
The
that.
first year will be a blur, but you'll get through it. Okay. Any further questions, Carol, Barbie?
No.
No? Okay. Then we vote.
You can
We're gonna vote?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me just go
Oh,
back.
excuse me, FYI, term 211.
Oh, we thought we caught that. Mark pointed that out, and we thought we made all those adjustments. We will take care of that.
Rob, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
The chair will entertain a motion to hire, I'm just gonna get your name correct. Mark Graziano as the Director of Finance and Operations for the Georgetown School District, beginning August 1, 2011, and ending, can I say that, September, or is it July?
It would be June.
June 30th, 2014.
Right.
So moved?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion
Congratulations,
carries.
Mark.
Thank you
Very
very
much.
much, Mark.
Forward
Looking
having
forward to
you come
working
on
with you.
board.
Thank you. I look
Thank
forward
you
to
for
it.
making the time to come tonight.
Thanks for coming, Mark. I look forward to getting to know you.
Thank you very much. I look forward to the work.
Well, you'll get it. Guaranteed.
Can we have that on tape, just so you know?
Perfect.
Okay,
Great.
now our Director of Curriculum
Yes.
candidate.
Now, this isn't a joint appointment. This is basically my appointment.
Okay.
But come on up, Julie. This is Julie LaRoche, and Julie has been working in Haverhill in a K through 12 kind of curriculum job in the area of language arts. We received a lot of applications for this position. And I think I conducted 2 rounds of interviews, engaging certain people from the administrative team as they were able to come. And we were actually very discouraged until we met Julie. So, we would meet people who had a lot of either elementary experience or a lot of high school experience, teachers wanting to come out of the classroom and take a curriculum job, all very, very nice people. But we were looking for someone who had a little bit of the background with the whole spectrum, because, this is a district job, and it's very different to understand what the elementary needs are versus what the secondary needs are. And so we had an opportunity to interview Julie, and Margaret was like, hire her. I said, well, there's a process here. We have to go through this. And we had Julie come back again and just, talked a little bit more and kind of hearing what's interesting to her and why this job. Because as you notice in her resume, she hasn't been in Haverhill very long. She spent a long time in Tewksbury, which I could relate to because I spent a long time in Greenfield. It was very hard to leave, a lot of connections there. But she had determined that it's better for her career. She wanted to expand into a pre-K through or K through 12 position, and this job is just like for her. She can speak to it better than I, but for someone in her position, the fact that she's now going to be working with all curriculum areas in a small district with a lot of really good things in place. We just really liked Julie's style. We liked her experience. Her references were amazing. And, we're really just excited that, she decided to join us in Georgetown. So in your packet, for your information, I believe is the job description for this position as well. And Julie's packet of information. If you have any particular questions for Julie or further questions for me, I'd be really happy to answer. And again, I appreciate you coming, Julie, on short notice in the summer. But I think it's always important for people, especially our administrative positions, which are very important in terms of leadership in the district, since these are televised meetings, also it's nice for the public, to see you and meet you. And then, for you to have an opportunity to meet the school committee. You're missing 2 people, but we've got 3 important people here, so what
The
questions
one that
would
would
you
be
have?
most key into
Oh, yeah,
curriculum is missing.
actually, she met Ann.
Oh, she did, okay,
Yeah,
good,
Ann
good.
came in one of the days that Julie was there,
Okay,
so
I'm
she met
thankful
Ann.
for that. I just had a question on, or just a couple questions, but you're enrolled at American International right now,
I am.
and that'll be an ongoing process for a little while.
I'm actually writing the final phases of my dissertation.
Oh,
now.
great.
So
Okay.
I'm expecting to have that finished by December.
Okay, oh,
So,
great.
I'm in a good place with that, thankfully.
Funny story, though, if you look at her references, 2 of them, Donna Harlan and Tony Serio, are Western Mass people. I know them very, very well. I loved talking with them about Julie. But what are the odds that on someone that's looking for a job in Eastern Mass on the North Shore has 2 out of 3 references that I know, and people who I've worked with and I have a really high level of respect for. So that was actually great for me.
Nice time to reconnect
It
with
was
everyone.
great for me.
It's a small world.
Personally, I love the English background because that is just one of my things that I like. And that was really my only question, like when you were going to be done. And
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to finishing that. But it's been a great process for me. I love to be in school. My husband was saying, now this is it, right? We're here. We've reached the end.
Kind of the highest it goes, right?
And so I've really enjoyed the process. I've met some great people that you know, Carol,
Mhm,
which I think
mhm.
is also great.
Mhm.
And I've learned a lot from that process. The professors that I've worked with through the program are superintendents in Massachusetts. So I've got some really great bases to touch when I need to ask questions or to, just get some verification on how other districts are doing things. So I have found that to be very helpful, especially in the position that I've had in Haverhill.
Great, and Haverhill's nice and close, so you won't have a long commute.
It's such a beautiful commute. It really, truly is. I get in my car and I think, oh, this is wonderful. It's such a nice ride, and when I get here,
No traffic, great.
it's beautiful.
So, I think having 14 years of teaching in the classroom is also very, very important, because a lot of this work, having done this work in other districts, is, you have credibility with teachers when you've actually done it yourself and you know what good teaching looks like. So that was really appealing to us as well. And then the work she's done in Tewksbury and Haverhill around the curriculum coordination was big. I think the other thing that I think for me was interesting is she works with the DESE. So remember, in our strategic plan, we've been talking about how important it is now we have to align the core curriculum to the Common Core, and actually Julie does presentations for the DESE. And actually, you're going to Tennessee, aren't you?
Yes, I have a presentation on Wednesday for the superintendents in the Northeast region on adolescent literacy and some of the modules that have been created for professional development opportunities for districts. And so I'll be presenting on that on Wednesday in North Andover. And the next week, we've been invited to present at the High Schools Got Work Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. So we're really excited about that work and looking forward to it.
Oh, that's great.
So, she's spoken at the state conference, the curriculum summits. So I think, she's a learner, and I think a lot of what she's doing in other places and bringing to Georgetown can only help us.
And one of the things, you just touched on it briefly, that kind of made me think about it, is that I know that when Kristen was here, she did a lot with professional development and really revamped that program and seemed to develop, I'm going to say train the trainers. Is that the right term? Where there were selected teachers that would go to conferences that would come back and really be able to provide that knowledge and help to really further teachers along, so that if they couldn't go to the conference, we at least had people that had gone and could really help out the district. So is that something that you're comfortable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. And there's so much opportunity out there now. One of the projects that I've been working on in Haverhill is the Race to the Top. I realize that Georgetown has not signed on to
No.
Race to the Top, but through the process of applying for that grant and working on that grant and really identifying where the state is going in terms of offering professional development for districts, it's been a great eye-opener for me and a great support system for me to learn about where we're going as a state and what their intentions are and how to get districts there. So whatever I learn, I always bring back to the district and the teachers, and it's been a great process, so it's certainly absolutely entertaining.
That's been a huge benefit for the district. It's
Honestly,
really been
our
nice.
our professional development, even when our budgets were very, very tight, we did protect money in the budget for that, and we used our grants to do professional development, because if you're running a business, any business has a training component, and you just can't ask people to do new things without really making sure that training is, because at the end of the day, it's about the quality of teaching that makes the difference in student achievement. So, you do need to do quality professional development. What other questions?
I'm just really pleased to see this show up. I was tied into some of the earlier, and it's just I'm just glad that you've shown up. From going over this, I have complete confidence in Carol's decision with regards to this. I don't have any questions. I'm new to the board. This is my first year. I've got a lot to learn. I suspect you'll be teaching me significantly. So I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you.
This is Barbie's first year
And
on the
Barbie's
board
first year as well.
Okay. All right.
So, not my first year. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for coming this
Julie,
evening.
for
I really
welcome.
appreciate
So
it.
nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thanks for
very
taking the
much.
time. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Absolutely. Thanks.
And she'll be joining us in both, actually, Mark and she will be joining us in August, because
August.
they have a notice.
30 day.
Yeah, and I think we would expect that.
Yeah.
So I'm very willing to work with, both of their current employers to try to figure out a way that, there can be a nice transition. It'll be better for all of us if that's the case.
Just in time for the start of school.
Well, it'll be before that, I think. I mean, Julie's already been like 2 or 3 times. She
Right.
came and got the binders that Kristen had, you can imagine the binders, right?
Yeah.
Kristen had put the binders together, so she's already kind of come in and taken that, and, we've had several conversations. So I'm not worried at all that these 2 people will do more than their share of work. Thank you.
Well, congratulations and welcome, and certainly let us know if you need anything from us. Okay, superintendent's information for the committee. Did you have any questions on any of that? No. Oh, and I skipped over school reports because I'm assuming that the principals are not here, and we don't have any
Right,
reports.
we don't have any reports.
Okay, financial report? The FY11 recast budget.
Yeah, so that's the major item. Now, the challenge with this, I think, is that I'm not sure we all have we have the same document, but I'm sure we have it numbered the same way, so I have to be careful that I don't confuse you.
And just for the public, so they hear recast budget, they want to know what's going on. This budget is our revised budget based on the override passing.
Right.
Our previously approved budget was a balanced budget based on what the town was going to provide us for funding. And that's what it was. With the override passing, what we did is pretty much went through the list of what we said we were going to have to cut, or what was cut out of the original budget, and added that in on a line item basis. There were some areas that were not as clearly defined, and there were other areas that were not exactly linear. We had said our main goal was to protect the high school accreditation and try to mitigate any issues with that as much as possible, as far as reducing positions and programs. So what we did was we tried to work within the funding allocation to make that happen. And so it might not be a 1-to-1 ratio, but we can certainly go through that.
Yeah, I think the important thing for the for the public is to realize that, the reason we were so specific in that override list was because we wanted to make sure that whatever was added was actually added, and if we didn't receive the override, those were the things that were going to be cut. So what we will be able to do for the public and obviously for the committee is to show you directly and explicitly where it is in the budget. So, for example, just one example would be, we said we were going to restore an elective. And so we restored the foods. So you'll notice in the budget, the allocation under the Family and Consumer Science line, that actual salary and that actual person, because we brought Mrs. Fulton back, who was the person who was in the foods program before.
And that ties to keeping children out, or students out of study hall. And
That's right.
Really
Having
more
sufficient
time on
electives.
learning.
That's right,
and having
time
a
on learning.
sufficient base of electives for them.
right.
So that was one of those things where we had said increased number of electives, but didn't define exactly what that was going to be because we
Yeah,
didn't know
because
how
when
it was going to shape
when we did the
shape out.
original budget, we weren't sure what we really needed at that
Right.
point. Yeah. Plus, we also have a very interesting situation at the high school where we have to look at space. There might be things we'd love to add, but we don't have the space to do it. So we have to work within the space constraints that are there.
Because we also, next year, we get a double hit with the the former fifth graders, the new sixth graders moving in and requiring 1 to 2 more classrooms. So it's requiring a little bit of reconfiguration.
Yeah, I mean,
to get them in
we've
there.
definitely had to be creative because not only with some of these programs we added with the override, or the sections we added more than programs. We also have been, as you know, creating our special education programs, which have required space as well. So it's really, I think we are at the point where we really don't have any additional space. We really are kind of maxed out here. So, just to begin to talk about a few things, and we can, once this budget is approved, we will put it up online so people can have a chance to look at it. The summary sheet, I think, is useful.